Our next speaker today is Megan Bowman. She's product manager for the data platform for Eimeria. Megan has over 15 years of experience delivering cutting-edge biotech and SaaS solutions to academic, agriculture, pharmaceutical, and research organizations. And Megan's gonna talk to us about a next-generation system for Coccidia monitoring.
Thank you. Great, good morning, everyone. So I'm going to jump in and with a brief overview intro to who Eimeria is. So we are a technology company who is committed to driving change within the food production sector. Our dynamic team, who's equipped with very diverse experience in areas such as data science, microbiology, and poultry production, collaborate to deliver innovative solutions that can identify risk and open up new profit areas. So currently, our customers are predominantly focused in poultry production, and they're most interested in our Coccidia, Salmonella, and allied product monitoring solutions. Today, I'm going to talk to you for a little bit specifically about our Coccidia monitoring solution. Okay, so as many of you know, Coccidia is the most cost-impactful production disease in poultry performance. Some of the challenges that we encounter are that investigations into Coccidia can often be reactive following an adverse event or a decline in production performance. When the decision to make a change or to enforce an intervention is made, it can often occur weeks after economic losses have already taken place. Obviously, the more weeks that go by, the more money that is impacted. Additionally, traditional Coccidia monitoring programs can sometimes not provide the full perspective of the population. So we may not always be confident that we're making the right decision or that we should be making a change or implying an intervention. For example, if we look at an example of a 1.6 million per week complex, we can see that the total number of birds necropsied during the 6-week period is not necessarily reflective of the entire complex throughput. This can be challenging to make these types of decisions. So Eimeria's CSM sets out, Coccidia System Monitoring Product, otherwise known as CSM, sets out to address some of these challenges through near real-time Coccidia status by doing routine, non-invasive, and non-lethal Coccidia monitoring. We utilize advanced analytics that incorporate epidemiological principles into our overarching monitoring strategy. This way, we know that we're ensuring sufficient coverage across our population to really understand what is going on with Coccidia with high confidence, to be able to detect inappropriate cycling at an early stage, and to also be able to characterize various vaccine cycling curves. So if we look at this schematic again, we can see that not only are we expanding our monitoring coverage, denoted by the smaller dots, across the complex during that same time period, the different shades indicate the different weeks of monitoring, but we're also further expanding our coverage of monitoring by the use of our underlying analytics that model and scale the data so that we're getting a more expansive coverage across the complex at a population level. All right, so how does it work? From a high level, our system consists of a non-lethal sample collection process, after which samples are shipped overnight to ensure rapid turnaround time of sample processing. We do oocyst detection, quantification, and classification on our laboratory instrument, and then we deliver these outcomes. So the entire process is within a short window of time and allowing us to gain insights rather quickly. All right, so how do we start? So we work with each of our customers to select the package that is most appropriate, not only to the size of their complex, but also to their goals for the project, and also working with their budget. After we establish the most appropriate package, we establish a strategy that aligns best with their business objectives, and also takes into consideration different variables such as the type of program that they're on, the different program transition points. Even within a program, a Coccidia control program, we're able to maybe look at the different feed type transitions, so that we're really selecting bird age monitoring that is going to address the questions that our customers want to answer and the objectives that they're hoping to gain from this monitoring engagement. Some of the common strategies that we employ is we want to create an unbiased perspective across the population. So we will intentionally select farms. We're very intentional about the farms that we include in the monitoring program, and we will select farms from the lower 10%, the top 10%, and the middle percent of performers. However, in some cases, if customers have very specific goals, they may want to say, for example, move X number of farms from a middle performance status to a top performance status, or from a lower performance status to a mid performance status. In that case, we're going to be very intentional about selecting farms from those different cohorts. So again, it demonstrates how we really create this strategy in collaboration with our customers to answer their questions and objectives. All right, so after we establish our monitoring strategy, our team puts together a sampling collection plan. Customers have the option of enrolling in our white glove service. And so with our white glove service, our team will actually go out, our field team who is fully trained in biosecurity and knowledgeable in this area, they will go out and they will perform the sample collection. The white glove service also includes collection kits, which have individually barcoded and identified sample collection materials. It includes all of the shipping materials required to ship the samples, and it includes overnight shipping. So it's really efficient for our customers to not really have to worry about any part of the sample collection process. And then we have this data that's associated from the point of collection flowing right into our system from the beginning. So once the samples arrive at our laboratory, they are registered with all of their associated metadata that was captured at the time of sample collection, such as the collection date and the sample source farm. The fecal samples are then prepared to be processed on Ansera's Piper instrument. Here you can see it sitting on one of our laboratories. So the Piper instrument contains a microfluidic system as well as a camera, and during the Piper runtime, images are captured as the sample's flowing through the cartridge that's in the instrument. The images are then pushed into image processing, where we're using computer vision algorithms to automatically detect, count, and size classify oocysts. So on the screen you can see an excerpt from an image where oocysts have been detected and are outlined in different shades of colors to indicate their size. So this data then produces oocysts per gram, or OPG, outcome results, which are then pushed into our data models. So the most immediate result data that we're going to see is within our mobile app. So our mobile app provides near real-time snapshot of Coccidia performance at the different flock ages. So our users will receive access to the mobile app, and they will be able to see the complexes to which they have access. So if you're a veterinarian, maybe you have access to 1 or 3, or maybe if you're a live production manager, you have access to only a specific complex. It's all access governed. That's all defined during the onboarding process. And as you can see, the data is grouped by complex, Coccidia control program, and bird size, because we want to show all of those different flock ages that are being sampled for each of those complexes and the program. Users have the ability to look at this on a weekly basis, which would be the real-time data, or they can select to look at it in cumulative view, which would be data from all time for the complexes that are enrolled in the monitoring program. From the overview screen, users can drill down further into any one of the complexes, and they are able to see within a specific complex how many houses are within the expected Coccidia range. So the color indication is showing you if the Coccidia outcomes are within the expected range or outside of the expected range for each of those flock ages and each of those programs. And from here, if the user would like to drill down further, they can see the actual houses in order of least performant to best performant. So basically showing what percentage of the samples that we processed were within the expected OPG or oocysts per gram range for a particular house. And there's other drill down that the user can do within the app subsequent to this screen if they really want to get into the more diagnostic outcomes from each of those houses. Okay, so complementary to the OPG outcomes that are being reported directly into the app, we also offer a more detailed weekly reporting product that is sent out to our users per complex every single week. And this reporting, in addition to just looking at the OPG outcomes, incorporates historical and current production data. And we're going to go through some of the features of the more detailed reporting in the next couple of slides. But what we're able to do, so we saw on the previous screen how we're reporting OPG outcomes for each flock age. Once we complete all planned flock ages at the collection sites, we generate a curve. So here we can see an example of a complex level curve that is visualizing our Coccidia profile. So we're literally making Coccidia visible. And it's plotting the population over time of our large, total, small, and medium oocyst. So this is actually, the power of the analytics is really taking those individual sample results that we have at a subset of houses on a subset of farms, and we're taking that data, we're scaling it, and we're modeling it so that we're providing hierarchical population insights into Coccidia. And so here you can see that we have these farm Coccidia profiles. So this is showing you what your profile of Coccidia would look like at the farm level. And we're assigning, so you can see that we're assigning different OPG groups. So we're saying here, this is late cycling, this is displaying late cycling, this is displaying flat cycling. And so what we're doing is our underlying algorithms are looking at the characteristics of these Coccidia curves, and they're assigning an OPG group to the curve, and then we're able to organize or basically sort them by group. And so this allows us to start making decisions at various levels of the hierarchy. So decisions that are made at the complex level, we have that OPG profile at the complex level. We now have cohorts of farms that have similar OPG performance that we're able to group by. Those are, in this case, these are some examples of late cycling, flat cycling, and mid and early cycling Coccidia profiles. These will obviously differ by complex and by the type of program Coccidia control program that's being utilized. Okay. So it's also important to look at those patterns over time. So every week we're reporting the distribution of OPG groups, so what percent were in each of those categories. And we want to look at this over time because this is what really allows us to observe emerging trends in Coccidia. So, for example, do we see our late cycling groups start to increase? Is there some event that's correlated to that? And so we're able to monitor that over time. We're also able, so if we look at this like more heat map view at the bottom here, we're able to monitor Coccidia consistency by age group. So we can see consistency in our flock age. So if we look at the first column, where's my little, okay. So if we look at this vertically, we're able to see this is a flock age, and we can see if it remains consistent over time or if it changes over time. And in this way, we can determine emerging trends in Coccidia. We can also view this graphic horizontally to understand the performance of these particular flocks within the farms over the course of their flock life cycle. Okay, so the detailed reporting, the production model of our reporting uses predictive modeling. Okay, uses predictive modeling to aggregate historical production data. And it aggregates it with other factors such as weather data and location data. And what it allows us to do is really create the concept of expected performance. And often we will see the actual performance correlate very closely with expected performance. So it becomes really valuable to look at when there's a deviation from the expected performance. And what we can do is then we can evaluate if Coccidia, we can then look at Coccidia against the deviation from expected performance. And that helps us understand if Coccidia is a contributing factor to volatility or events in production, adverse events in production outcomes, or we can exclude it as a causative contributor, and it allows us to look into other risk areas. Okay, so I know I'm supposed to wrap this up here. So some of the questions, in summary, some of the questions that we can answer using our Coccidia system monitoring product is: how is Coccidia performing across my complex? What are the different cycling patterns that I'm observing across my complex? What farms comprise suboptimal cycling cohorts, such as late cycling? Is Coccidia contributing to performance volatility or trends? How is my Coccidia program performing? Am I on the most cost-effective Coccidia program? Do I have optimal transition points within my program? And can I further optimize my production outcomes by making a change and subsequently monitoring the impact of any such change? Okay, thank you, and we'll be available in the break room after.
Thank you very much for the presentation. One question related to the sample taking. So is it mandatory that somebody from your company has to go take the samples, or the grower can also take that sample?
Yeah, so we offer the white glove service as one of the product offerings where our team will go out, but customers also have the option to do the sample collection themselves.
All right. Mm-hmm. And another question related to, once you have identified that based on the cycling pattern that you are seeing, and then you plot that against the performance and you see a difference, have you been able to see a follow-up on the same flock, same farm, that the changes that were made by the grower on their Coccidia program, you see any positive outcome?
We would expect, yeah, so that's one of the benefits of the production model, is that if you implement a change, you are able to monitor the impact. And ideally you would see a positive impact in your production outcomes. But you can also detect very readily if it's not going to cause an improvement. We're able to detect that early with the live Coccidia monitoring.
Okay, please join me in thanking Megan for her presentation.